Welcome back to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. My name is Lydia. I'm an Auckland wedding photographer and your host. On today's episode, I'm chatting with Kelsey, who gives us an honest and refreshing look at her Central Otago wedding. From a proposal weekend that didn't quite go to plan, storms, a power cut, and a very sweet box of chocolates, to finding her dream dress across the ditch in Melbourne, Kelsey takes us through it all, the highs and the lessons of planning. We talk about navigating the guest list, blowing the budget, choosing a bridal party with practicality in mind, and why wedding planning is not for people pleasers. Their private vows on top of the remarkables, why a live musician changed the whole vibe of the day, and her incredible advice for couples in the middle of planning right now. Plus, Kelsey shares a little about her business, The Friendly Food Co., and her down-to-earth approach to health as a dietitian and in general leading up to the big day. This was such a lovely chat and perspective, and I'd love to hear what you think about the episode. Pop on over to Instagram or rate and review the podcast. I would love to hear. Enjoy episode 117 with Kelsey. Hi, Kelsey. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. Excited to hear all about your wedding.
Thanks for having me, Lydia.
To get started with, if you could just tell us a bit about you and your husband, how you guys met, and sort of your life together.
We met at university. We were down in Dunedin at Otago, and we were both working as RAs at Unicol. So basically people who just help look after the first year students. He kind of got friend zoned for about the first 2.5 years of our friendship by me, poor guy. But yeah, eventually I realised that maybe that wasn't a good idea. And now we're married, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, living in Auckland, and we dog together. We've kind of gone through this crazy, we met when we were 20 and now we're 31. So we've kind of gone through this like weird whole phase of your 20s where everything changes so quickly together, and we've seen so many versions of each other that it's actually kind of cool to grow and see every iteration of the person that you're with.
Love that. Yeah, kind of grown up together. Love that you friend zoned him, but it was right timing at the right time. So good. So you were together quite a while then and got engaged. Can you tell us a bit about the proposal story?
We were together for 6 years, and he proposed just before our 6-year anniversary. I was so suspicious of the entire thing because he can't keep a secret and he's really bad at hiding things. He planned a trip for us to go to the Coromandel for a weekend, which was really sweet. And the reason why I got suspicious is because normally I have to organise everything, and I didn't organise a single thing for this trip. And he'd planned it so that we'd have the day hiking, and we had this beautiful little Airbnb, which was up on the hill, and it looked out to where the sun would set. The only thing was the day that we went through to the Coromandel, there'd been so much rain for maybe the week or two beforehand, and it rained the day. It was really stormy the day that we were there. So the hike we were going to do, we didn't end up doing because it was too dangerous. And when we got back to the Airbnb, it was such bad weather, and he was going to propose on the balcony at sunset with a picnic. So we didn't end up having the balcony sunset picnic because there was no sunset and it was howling with wind and rain. So we had the picnic inside the cabin. And then he could tell he was kind of putting off something. And I had a suspicion it was the proposal because he just started getting really nervous. And I was like, Anyway, he ended up getting a box of chocolates handmade that each chocolate had a letter on it which said, "Will you marry me?" So he, kind of gave me the chocolates, told me to close my eyes, gave me the chocolates, and got down on one knee. And just as I said yes, the power went out because it was a solar-powered eco lodge thing. And we kind of just cracked up. We're like, okay, well, it is what it is. Let's get the rest of the day in darkness, because this would have been maybe 6 o'clock at night in the middle of winter. It was kind of romantic. We had candles. I don't know why he obviously came a little bit prepared, but we basically just had a candlelit evening with no power. So that was quite cool.
Oh, so sweet. Had you been one of those girls that dreamed about your wedding? Did you have a vision in mind for what you wanted? And what were those kind of first steps, finding a venue, all of that?
I feel like, yes, I probably had been that girl that had always dreamed of her wedding day, but I was also that girl who every year updated her Pinterest board as to what she liked. And I looked back at all the previous year's Pinterest boards. I was like, these are so ugly. And I kind of always wanted to get married in Central Otago because it was a really special place for me growing up, and it had kind of become a place that we'd been together as a holiday, just a getaway, a home away from home. Our first thought was, let's go down to Central and see what there is. And we did look at a few venues in Auckland because it seemed like the logical choice seeing we lived here. Nothing really took our fancy except for one beautiful venue, but it was way out of our price range, which really broke my heart. So yeah, it was kind of just Queenstown or nothing, really. We did float the idea of going overseas and doing an Italian micro wedding getaway type thing, but that got shut down very quickly.
Oh, nice. So did you look at a few places in Central Otago? How did you land on your location?
We looked at about 7 different venues in Queenstown, Monica, Hawea. The one that we actually ended up going with, we'd initially kind of crossed off our list because it was going to be too expensive. And then we ended up getting it because I saw that somebody on Facebook Marketplace was trying to sell a wedding package, which they had purchased at an auction, which was a fundraiser. And I messaged them instantly being like, is this Royalburn? And they're like, yeah, it is. So to me, I was like, oh my gosh, it's meant to be. Like, it would be so much cheaper getting that package than it would have been if we hadn't had it. So we brought the package off them and got that venue, which was really cool because it was one of our top 2 venues, but it was just the price that sort of put us off it a little bit.
That's amazing. That's like unheard of, kind of like coincidence, right timing, and that, yeah, they were selling that. So good. Must have just been meant to be. Love that.
Exactly, yeah.
Did you have kind of your top priorities, the most important elements of the day that you were thinking about?
My top priorities were very different from Davey's. His was very much food, entertainment. Mine was very much, I don't even know how to describe it, but I kind of wanted the whole aesthetic of the place to reflect our personalities. And we have very different personalities. And I just wanted it to be this really relaxed, fun day that was not like many of the weddings I'd been to. So I kind of wanted to just be our personalities in a wedding day. And that was my main priority, which actually turned out to be really hard.
Like the whole look and feel of the day, you'd say? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I genuinely thought, I really struggled to visualize things, and I thought that all the things that I'd selected were going to turn out to be incredibly ugly. They didn't. It turned out really beautiful, but it's, I guess this is one of these things you just like, yeah, this colour napkin with this colour tablecloth, and oh, the welcome sign's going to be this, and the flowers are going to maybe be this. Hopefully it works. Luckily it did.
Yeah, it's hard to know how every element's going to like come together on the day because you don't really necessarily get this preview of what it's going to look like. You just kind of have to like trust your decisions, I guess, through the process.
The part I found strangest is that everybody else got to see our vision come together before I did. I'm like, I did all this.
Oh, yeah. Some people do, like, what if they call it, reception preview or whatever. So you get to kind of walk through before everyone's in there, which is kind of nice. Doesn't always work out timing wise, but yeah, you're like, let me see my vision.
I think I would have liked to do that, but the weather did not play ball. So it wasn't possible.
Can you tell us a bit about your wedding outfits, your dress? How was that process, finding it, getting it made? Yeah.
I mean, when I very first went wedding dress shopping, I was pretty convinced that I was going to be like a plain satin dress person. The second I tried on a plain white dress, I was like, this isn't me. Like, I hate it. So I went to maybe about 4 or 5 shops in Auckland and couldn't find what I liked. But there were elements of all the dresses I tried on that I liked that I wanted to push together. Luckily, we were going over to Australia the February before our wedding, which was in December. So I found a dress online that I loved, and we found the shop that it was in, and we made an appointment and told them that's the dress I wanted to try on. And we get there and they're like, oh, we've just sent that dress back to our Sydney shop. So I was pretty devastated about that. But then my friend who I was with was like, oh, look, I found another place that is like top rated in Melbourne. Let's just try there. And the first dress I picked out in that shop was the one that I brought, and I fell in love with it the second I put it on my body. I was like, this is the dress. I don't need to try on any others. Like, I've got goosebumps. It's the only dress I've ever got goosebumps trying on. So it turns out I went for a very full glittery floral dress, which was the total opposite of what I thought I was going to get. But yeah, I did struggle finding that level of detail in New Zealand, of which didn't look like every other bride that I'd seen on Instagram and TikTok.
Oh, yeah, so interesting to hear that process. And sometimes we do have to just like look beyond our shores, but love that you had that kind of yes to the dress moment, even if it takes a little while. Did you have a second dress or like something for dancing later as well?
I did. So I had my eye on this gorgeous little dress from Meshki around the time I was proposed to, that I was convinced was going to be my second dress, and it was out of stock for like most of last year. I was like, okay, well, that's not going to be. So I ordered this one from America, of which when it arrived, I actually didn't like it. I was like, oh, it's still sitting in my wardrobe actually. I should probably sell it.
Yeah.
But then about 3 weeks before the wedding, the Meshki one came back in stock. So I just ordered it, and it was the most perfect reception dress. So I'm so glad I trusted myself on that and didn't wear the other one. But it was like a little halter with a bow. So it was perfect. And it was so nice to get out of the big gown.
Did you have a bridal party? And if so, can you tell us about the process choosing them? Did you find that quite easy?
Yes, so I did have a bridal party. I had two. The hardest part with a bridal party was deciding how many bridesmaids to have. To me, it was going to be 2, 4, or nothing. With that, obviously, Davey and I wanted to have matching or like the same number of bridesmaids to groomsmen. And then we realized the cost of like hair and makeup, and I wanted to like supply the dress and everything. So we're like, okay, we'll just go with 2. Like that seems to be the most logical option. And my maid of honor, she was like a clear. I was always going to have her as my maid of honor. And the bridesmaid, the second bridesmaid, I found a little bit harder to choose because I wanted someone who lived in Auckland and could help me with some things if needed and when needed. And then I feel like I had to be really, what's the word? Strategic. I feel really bad for saying that, but like I have friends with young kids, and I know that being a bridesmaid sometimes comes with a financial burden, and I didn't want to put that on certain friends. So there was very much a logical process to choosing the second bridesmaid. But yeah, it was something I never thought would be logical, and it would just be intuition, but I didn't want to burden people with being a bridesmaid because I've been one about 5 times now. So I just know the experience of it.
No, I love that. That's not something everyone talks about, but it does just naturally come with a bit of responsibility. And I think that's so wise to just think about it practically, like who's going to be able to help me and who's kind of like, yeah, has more availability or lives closer to you. And how about the guest list? Did you find that tricky to narrow down?
Yes, our original guest list was 110 people. And when we got this package, it was for 30 to 50. And that's because the marquee size had to be changed if we went above that. So we ended up having, I think we invited 75, and we ended up having 64 from memory. So we had to upgrade our marquee size, which was fine. Like we had no issues doing that. But the hard part was kind of, we ended up having to be really savage. And we said basically, if these people haven't been involved in both of our lives, they're not invited. So that cut out a lot of my aunties and uncles, of which I felt horrendous about because I love them, their family. But I guess the nature of having, I've got a massive family, the nature of having a huge family is that you don't necessarily see them or have too much to do with them all the time. So that cut out a few of my aunties and uncles, which caused a bit of tension with my family. And then it was friends, like if we've both not had something to do with this person, they're not invited, which was really hard because it cut out quite a few like high school friends that maybe every time I'd go home I would connect with, but Davey wouldn't. So in the end we ended up actually like, okay, well, because there's these 2 people on either side that we feel like really need to be there but don't fit that criteria, we'll just invite them. And then the hardest part was plus ones. We were a little bit rude with plus ones and just said, unless we've had something to do with your partner, again, they're not invited. People were mostly receptive too, except for family. So family were on both sides a little bit challenging with the plus ones.
Oh, it's a difficult process.
Yeah, it's one that I would never want to do again.
Yeah, so hard. And then, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a destination wedding. I can imagine a lot of people flying in, and then you've got your kind of numbers with your venue and your package as well. So there has to be like you have to be a bit brutal and you're not trying to be horrible to them, but yeah, it's unfortunate. And sometimes I think it's the people closest to you, or yeah, your blood relatives that kind of have something to say about it, which is tricky to navigate, but it's so relatable.
Yeah, definitely. I think wedding planning is not for people pleasers.
Yes, so true. That's a great line. Can you tell us about the big day, maybe that kind of week leading up to it, and yeah, how everything went? Any highlights or favourite moments?
So we made the mistake of flying down to Christchurch on the Wednesday. Our wedding was on the Friday. We then drove from Christchurch to Queenstown on that Wednesday, which we really underestimated the time that it would take. So we basically spent 12 hours travelling on the Wednesday about before our wedding, and that was a huge mistake because we were so tired. And I don't think I realised quite how stressed I was going into the wedding. Turns out I just could not eat because I was so stressed. And I'm not one not to eat. I am very much a person who loves to eat. So that was not fun. But the day before was just chaos. I changed how I did the day before. But we did a rehearsal the day before, which was nice. Everyone was late because of traffic in Queenstown. I mean, as an Aucklander, I did not expect there to be traffic in Queenstown, but we did get married on the busiest weekend in Queenstown. So that was fun. The big day itself was amazing. For the 3 days leading into the wedding, we had like 30-degree, blue sky, clear, sunny Central Otago days. On our wedding day, we woke up and it was foggy and rainy and cold, and I was like, great. So we had a helicopter trip planned the morning of our wedding. So we had to postpone that a little bit because of the weather. We still made it up there, actually in good time. So we went up and we did a first look first, and then we went up into the top of Remarkables and did a photo shoot. And then we also did our private vows up there, which I think was probably like one of the highlights for me of the day, because it was one of the only times of the day where it was Davey and I, plus we had one of our friends, plus the photographer. And no one else really knows what was said up there, which I kind of enjoyed because it's our own little moment.
Yeah.
And then we drove down to Royalburn, which we were late. Traffic was really bad, but it was kind of cool because we managed to have some time to just relax, and we just jammed to Taylor Swift the whole way to the wedding. And we sort of forgot that we hadn't actually got married at that point. Like we felt like as though we'd done the wedding. Once we arrived at the venue, Davey went and like greeted all the guests because everyone arrived by bus. We'd put on buses for people so they wouldn't have to worry about transport. The ceremony was almost delayed, but I think we managed to get it done just in time before it rained. So we're kind of like jumping between rain showers trying to get things done. And it was perfect. Like the wind was so strong that it almost blew my veil off. So there's this really cool photo of like me standing there, my veil's just like almost vertical. But it kind of just added an element of humour to the day, which was really nice. And everything, to the best of my knowledge, went to plan. We had a marquee wedding. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but it was a marquee wedding. So basically, as soon as we had the ceremony, we all ended up in the marquee because it was freezing. So it was quite nice just like mingling, and it was really cool seeing like all the florals and the signage and just everything that had come together at that point. And then just seeing everybody, because most of the people, a lot of the people that were there, I'd not seen in quite a long time because, I don't know, like life gets busy, and before you know it, it's been a year since you've seen somebody. So it was just so nice to see all of our people in one place. I kept thinking to myself, I feel like I'm crashing a party, but the party is with all the people that we know.
Yeah.
It just felt so strange. But it was cool because, I mean, there wasn't a single person there that I was like, oh, I don't know your name, so I'm not going to talk to you. Like, or like, oh, I don't know how to talk to you. It's like everyone was there for us. And I think that was probably the weirdest but the coolest thing of the whole day. Like, we're not used to being the centre of attention and having all walks of our lives come together. But we had this really amazing Scottish, I'm pretty sure he's Scottish. I hope he doesn't listen to this, and I hope I've not butchered that. Scottish musician, and he did the whole day. It was just him and his guitar and his loop pedal, and he was just so incredible. And it was just, I find the difference between having a live musician compared to a DJ so different, and the live musician who definitely brought the vibes that we were after to the day. And then, I mean, the food was incredible. So, yeah, I mean, there was probably not much of the day I would change, to be honest. It was everything that I'd hoped it to be.
Oh, so good. Sounds like such an amazing day. Yeah, I'd love hearing all those highlights, and yeah, so cool that you did the like photos before vows up the mountain. So special, just that time, the two of you, and being like at this party and you just like know every single person. There's no like awkward, I don't know, small talk and stuff. And I think that is the benefit of being maybe a little bit brutal with your guest list, but then like really creates the good vibe on the day. So yeah, so good. And I can imagine tough waking up to that weather when it's usually so like consistently sunny in Central Otago, like summertime. But yeah,
Yes.
managed to get around that.
Yeah, it did result in our photos being quite moody, which was kind of cool. Like, not the vibe I was going for, but
Yeah.
it works.
To embrace it, which is, yeah, all about your
Exactly.
attitude on the day.
Yeah, I was like, well, either way, we're going to get married, so I can't control the weather.
Yeah, and you're lucky you got the heli ride in still, because yeah, I've been down there when it's been cancelled because of the wind or something. So so good you still got to do that. What did you find the hardest part about the whole wedding planning process? Is there anything you look back on and regret or would have done a little bit differently?
Ooh, I think the thing that I struggled with the most wasn't necessarily about the things that we did, but it was not being prepared for the comments from people closest to us. And we very quickly learned to keep as much of the detail as close to our chest as possible and not share with people, because it's amazing how many opinions people have and how they're not afraid to share them with you. And I was definitely on the receiving end of a lot of really judgmental negative comments about our wedding day, and it kind of made me realize people see weddings for everyone except for the bride and the groom, or at least that's how it made us feel like, and it blew me away and really showed a lot of people's true colors, which yeah, I wasn't prepared for. I sort of thought I knew everyone in our circles incredibly well, but it did show some true colors which I didn't enjoy seeing. So probably that, to be honest, like the wedding planning process, we had a wedding planner, which I thought would relieve a lot of stress, but I was still very stressed. On the day, it was very relaxing, but the lead up to was still very stressful. Yeah, and the only other thing would be probably researching the true cost of a wedding, because it's very easy to blow a budget.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So interesting. It's crazy how many people come out of the woodwork with their opinions around weddings. And yeah, you just don't necessarily expect that. But yeah, I think that's great advice. You don't have to tell everyone everything, and you can just like, I don't know, keep stuff a secret or not go into the details, because it's not actually about everyone else. It's about what you guys want and what represents you as a couple. So yeah, so tricky to navigate. And again, what you say about being a people pleaser is like hard if you are like yeah, but yeah, tricky when that stuff kind of rears its head. Yeah, I think a lot of people will relate to that. Touching on the budget, did you have a set budget, if you're happy to share what that was, or ballpark figure, and how did you go with that whole side of things? Did you end up blowing it? Yeah.
We well and truly blew our budget. Our original budget was 45,000, and we ended up we stopped counting at 73. So it was quite a significant budget blow, but I think looking back, I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
I think we were just probably a little bit naive going into it, mainly because it was a marquee wedding and you have to bring everything in. We were shocked by the pack in and pack out fees, of which when you look on websites and you see the higher cost of things, that doesn't show the pack in and pack out fees of anything. So I would hate to think how many thousands of dollars we paid in pack in, pack out fees and delivery fees of different pieces, because yeah, they add up. And even just things like lighting and toilets, which you don't think about, but obviously are essential when you're in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, it definitely, it was more than we anticipated. And it was, I mean, I shouldn't have been surprised. I knew how much my friends' weddings were, but yeah, it's okay.
You always think you can get away with doing it a bit more affordably.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's affordable in Central Otago, so I should know that.
I know, true. Yeah, it is hard. And I think, yeah, especially with marquee weddings, a lot of people think, oh, we'll just be able to like DIY heaps and it'll be cheaper. But no, not the case. Having to bring everything in. And yeah, that's a great tip about the pack in and out. There's some of those extra fees that you might not be aware of up front, or yeah, you should ask your higher places about and figure that out because it does add up a lot. Yeah, so relatable as well, and probably a pretty normal budget for that kind of wedding in that area. So it is hard though. I feel like most people blow their budget. So
We had a lot of people tell us like, oh yeah, we blew our budget by 20,000. We're like, how? Like, how does that even happen?
Yeah. Now you know.
Now we know.
Did you guys go on honeymoon straight away? Did you just stay around Otago for a while? What did planning that look like?
So we got married on the 20th of December, and both of our families are from the South Island. So we kind of predicted that with just like end of the year tiredness, post wedding tiredness, that a honeymoon probably wouldn't be the best use of time or money. And we also thought we'd just be completely broke after the wedding. So we're like, let's not do that. So we're actually in 2 weeks heading away to Canada for our honeymoon, which is really exciting. And I kind of enjoy that because then you can have a mid-year holiday and you've got the energy to enjoy it.
Oh, so exciting. Yeah, nice to have that to look forward to. And yeah, especially getting married at that time of the year, then you're going into, yeah, Christmas, summer holidays, all of that already. So it makes sense. But that's exciting. Canada will be nice. Do you have any helpful resources that you use during the planning process in terms of like finding inspiration or vendors, stuff like that?
I mean, we did have a wedding planner who was there for full service wedding planner.
Help.
Huge help. We also have a friend who lives in Queenstown and works in events. So she was such an amazing help that she put us on to our singer and our catering, and they were recommendations of hers. So I fully trusted that. And other than that, I did take a lot of inspiration from like, your TikTok, your Pinterest. But my only comment on that is those beautiful weddings you see on Instagram and TikTok and Pinterest are probably like $100,000+ weddings. And I very quickly came to realize that when we were quoted $6,000 for fairy lights, I was like, what? Yeah, they might be unattainable for most.
Yeah. Yeah, great advice. I think there's so much amazing content out there and it's really like inspiring, but you've got to be kind of realistic with it. And I think, yeah, a lot of what we see online is that kind of luxury level wedding in like America or Europe, and they're multi 6-figure budgets and just like another level, which, if you've got the money, then I'm sure you can achieve that, but it does take a lot. So yeah, great advice. You've given some amazing advice already. Is there anything else you would say to a couple that's planning their wedding at the moment?
First, I would say if you're working with a wedding planner, be really clear or like lay out at the start how you're actually going to work together. I'm a huge control freak and I just love all the details. And I struggled working with a wedding planner because I felt like I was 3/4 out of the loop. I wasn't 100% sure if the way that we worked was not the way I envisioned that we worked. So I'd say if you are working with a wedding planner, cut yourself a whole lot of stress and actually get really clear on how you want to work together at the start. In regards to picking bridal parties, don't pick them as soon as you get engaged. Pick them closer to the time. Be logical with your picking, I think. I've been part of bridal parties where they've changed bridal party members in the lead up to the wedding because of something that happened.
Seen that happen a bit, yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that would be a huge one. Like, don't rush to pick your bridal party and don't just pick the flavour or like the person who's like your current favourite person. Think about who's actually going to be able to be there for you and who is going to be able to see when you, or even like see when or before you need the things, they can then do those things for you. And delegate would be my other thing. I'm not very good at that. Something I probably should have done better. But the day before, allow more time than you think you need. We were running an hour and a half late to everything the day before the wedding. So allow like half a day grace somewhere in your planning of the day before, because there's so much stuff that you need to get done. And chances are the groom's probably going to be hanging out with his mates because they don't have half the stuff that they've got to do the day before. And that's just what it is. But delegate. that would be my three. I think there's three main things.
Amazing. Yeah, such good advice. Very wise. And what is married life like now? Do you feel like you got any of the post-wedding blues?
Honestly, probably the opposite.
Yeah. Relief?
I was so relieved once it was over, but mainly because, I mean, I work full-time, I run a business, and wedding planning on top of that just felt like another job. So I felt like I gained back a lot of time. And I mean, the only thing I was a little bit sad of is that we'd never live that day again, but I never want to go through the planning of another wedding. That's not something I'm interested in doing ever again. But hey, we have some amazing memories from it. And yeah, I always sad that I'll never get to live those memories again, but relieved that I never have to plan a wedding again.
Yes. Yeah, so relatable. No, I love that. Yeah, I wanted to quickly ask you to tell us a little bit about your business, and I guess just like in terms of food and being healthy and stuff. I think that's, you know, a season, especially for brides leading up to their wedding, that they are thinking about looking their very best, which is hard because there's so much pressure on this day. And I think it's like great to kind of take care of yourself and be healthy, but yeah, do it in a healthy way. So yeah, would love to hear how you kind of navigated that, and yeah, maybe just tell us a little bit about your business.
I guess in the navigating my own health leading up to the wedding, I didn't go into that whole period with like the whole mentality of I need to lose weight. I don't personally agree that you need to lose weight to be able to look your best on your wedding day.
Yeah.
Like the person who you're marrying has seen you for however long that they're with you in whatever current state that you're in, and they love you regardless. So I don't see the point of making the lead up to the wedding even more stressful than it was. My only thing, which might sound really vain, is I just wanted to have a really good looking back because I had a very low back dress. So I was like, I want my back to look fire. And it did. I was stoked. So basically it was just, I want to be able to do some chin-ups unassisted before the wedding, and I achieved that. So I was like, yay. But I think that, you know, that whole mindset is probably quite privileged, as I am a dietitian. So I do know a lot about, obviously, like losing weight and eating food and, you know, maybe like the healthier way of doing those sorts of things. Our business isn't necessarily related to weight loss. It's more around gut health. So I guess just to go into the business side of things, I co-own the Friendly Food Co., which is a spice mix and seasoning company which specialise in sort of gut-friendly, low-FODMAP, gluten-free spice mixes. And we also offer dietitian support on the side of that. So it has been, it's quite cool to have that little side gig, and hopefully one day will be our main gig. But yeah, it's obviously the gut health side of things is huge, especially when stress is involved leading up to the wedding. And I did notice myself that as my stress levels increased, my gut issues also increased, which is very normal, and I'm sure a lot of brides probably experience that as well. But I think I'm really grateful in the fact that I kind of identified that in the lead up, and I was like, okay, what do I need to do to actually help that and reduce the impact? And most of it is just having downtime and learning to turn off and read before bed so I can actually sleep, because sleep is just so essential.
I love that. I think, so important to talk about. I think there can be this, really toxic mindset around shredding for the wedding or whatever, which is so unhealthy. But I think just focusing more on, getting enough rest and maybe kind of like booking that in for yourself in those last few months leading up, which, you know, doesn't have to be all facials and massages. Definitely do that if you want, but just going to bed a bit earlier, looking after your gut is so huge. Just being like doing it in a healthy way. So some great advice there, and we'll definitely link to all your stuff if people want to check out your amazing products or maybe have a chat with a dietitian. Great resource. It's definitely just one of those big seasons in life when you're navigating a lot, so doing that in a healthy way is really important. But thanks so much for telling us about that, and so cool to hear all about your wedding. Is there anything else you wanted to add or that we missed as we wrap up?
I think that is everything. Just thank you so much for having me.
Oh, so good. I think people will get a lot out of this episode, so thanks so much for coming on.
Nice.